Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MSHL Weekly. I'm Navi, your LC, and in this episode we're going to talk about the MSHL Season 9 Finals between Zamboni Zombies and PieRats. It was an intense match. Both sides had scoring chances, and in the end PieRats came away with the victory. As a guest here we have Antsy-HZ returning again for another episode. So anyway, let's get into it. Why?
To help you wake up a bit.
Okay. Well, I hit the record button, but I'm still not fully awake.
Okay, let me turn the volume up on that.
It's copyright infringement, Antsy. It's gonna get me in trouble.
Not if I play a short snippet of it.
Less than 10 seconds?
That was maybe 5.
All right. Let's get serious for a little bit so I can make future Navi's job a little easier. We're here with Antsy-HZ. What did you think about the finals game between Zamboni Zombies and PieRats?
So I'm going to take you back to something you said back when I was on MSHL Weekly the first time, which is you thought Zamboni Zombies gave the best chance of beating PieRats.
I didn't include that in the podcast. I don't know what he's talking about. I deny everything.
Would be a shame if I had a backup recording.
Oh, God.
Anyway, I was waiting to see how the game played out because I had my thoughts. And the game happened, and I took some notes. First of all, I have never seen a 2 birds, 3 spiders lineup before. But thank you, PieRats, for making that a thing, I guess.
Hey, it worked out, right? I mean, they won.
Yeah, so what they did was the spiders clogged up the midfield and defense, and their 2 warbirds, Randall and Chaotic, would just swarm whoever had the puck. Which is, frankly, whenever I play warbird, that's my favorite thing to do, is just be an absolute pest. And as good as Linux was in net, I think one of the underrated things about his game is that he is so quick at finding outlet passes. It's what makes the counterattack for PieRats so dangerous. He'll make the smart decision and just throw it wherever the opposing ships aren't. Just give his teammates a chance to do something.
Right. I mean, he's a top level, like I would say top 3 caliber goalie, right, in RSHL. So I would not expect anything less.
I'd put him top 1.
Top? Okay. Why is he playing in the MSHL, Antsy?
I don't know, league coordinator. Why is he playing in the MSHL?
I don't know. That's a good question, man. Like, somebody should be looking at the rules, you know?
Makes you think. So here's the thing that I was thinking that I didn't want to bring up back when we did that other episode. Because I played against Zamboni Zombies, well, obviously 3 times in the playoffs and once in the regular season. I've noticed with Zamboni Zombies, they get a lot of shots registered on goal. But I wanted to see what the quality of their shots was. So I actually went back and watched the entire game. And I looked at their shot total, and then I broke it down into good shots or quality shots. Ones where the goalie or the defense or the post has to save the puck. So I was ruling out things like a missed pass that just floats into the goalie, shots that were clearly going wide, ships with weak shots taking bad angles, slap shots that didn't fire, stuff like that. And I was ruling those out. And I actually did this for both teams. Because I was thinking Zamboni Zombies get some shots, but a lot of them aren't quality shots. And when I went back and looked at this game, granted this is an extremely subjective measure, they had like 20 shots-ish, and maybe 10 of them were like quality chances. So they actually outshot PieRats, who had, I think, 17. But when I watched back the footage, they had like 13 of those 17 that were at least decent scoring chances. PieRats, if the shot is not there, they do not shoot. The amount of times I saw Randall like sweep across the crease and then not take the shot and just cycle the puck back, or I would see Raw make a move toward the goal, go oh shit, and then just fire it backwards. Like, they're not forcing anything.
Interesting.
Also, for the record, I did go back and count lag messages. There were like 3 for PieRats.
Right.
It was a pretty tame game by their standards.
So one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I'm not just like glossing over what you just said, by the way, but one of the things that I noticed was that PieRats doesn't really change their lineup that much. Whereas Zamboni Zombies, they do a lot of subs. And like, they actually field their new players. I mean, I guess PieRats also has quote unquote new players. Sort of. I mean, Ra, I guess. I mean, would you consider Ra to be a new player? I don't know.
No.
Right? Like, I don't think they have somebody like in Zamboni Zombies team, for example, they have, AT, who's an actual, like, new player to the Hockey Zone, right? This is, like, maybe his second time playing in a league in Hockey Zone. So, just wanted to say that. But, like, to go back to what you said, Antsy, about...
AT scored one of their goals.
Yeah. I mean, AT's doing great. I'm not calling him out for being bad or anything. I'm just saying, like, Zamboni Zombies actually puts their newbies on the field. They're not afraid to do that in a finals. Whereas PieRats, they're basically putting the same lineup every game.
They're taking this shit more seriously than everybody else.
Well, I think Zamboni Zombies is taking it seriously. It's just that they know that they have to give their newbies ice time. So...
No, there's a difference between taking it seriously and taking it seriously.
Oh, I see what you're saying. See, there's a terminology that we used to use in Tarkov called sweat lords. And I believe that is the one that you are looking for.
I'll pretend I know what you're talking about.
You're saying PieRats are sweat lords. And Zamboni Zombies is just trying to win the game.
Well, I mean, zombies can't really sweat, can they?
No, I don't think they have... Well, actually, I don't know. That's a good question. Because they still have sweat glands. I mean, they're still human.
They're not active, though, right?
They're active-ish. I mean, they're walking.
Well, no, not the zombies, the glands.
Oh, yeah, true. Because they're dead. But then again, their legs are moving. So, I don't know. Anyway, we kind of got sidetracked there. To go back to what you were saying, Antsy, about the amount of quality shots. So, you're basically saying PieRats is taking fewer shots, but better chances, right? Like, they're actually shooting to score, whereas Zamboni Zombies has more shots, but they're just shooting to shoot.
Well, I mean, obviously everyone who shoots is trying to score.
In some way or another, yeah.
Yeah. And another thing is, if you go back and look at the stats, pretty much everybody on Zamboni Zombies was registering shots on the goal. PieRats, only 3 people.
Would that
Randall,
be their
Raw,
Warbirds?
Chaotic. Randall, Raw, and Chaotic.
Okay, so 2 of their Warbirds and Raw.
Yeah, Sig Smoke didn't register 1. Ollie didn't register 1. There was a point in the game where Zamboni Zombies was having a lot of possession, but wasn't really accomplishing much with it. And because I occasionally watch like international football, it reminds me of something called tiki-taka football, which is something Spain would do. Basically, they pass the ball 1,000 times and then get maybe 2 shots on goal.
Right.
It was vaguely reminiscent of that, but with slightly more shooting.
Right. The idea being, we can't score if they have the puck, so let's keep the puck away from them. That's that style of play. So
yeah, but anytime PieRats had all 3 spiders back for defense, which was almost the entire game, because of the checking range of the spiders, they could spread out and essentially check from north to south all the way across the crease. It was like a barricade that they were struggling to break through for most of the game.
that reminds me of something that happened in RSHL last season. Like this whole conversation about the one ship rule. Do you agree with the one ship rule?
I think it certainly makes the games more interesting. And it forces players to be at least decent with 2, possibly 3 ships to get the best lineups out of certain rosters. I know some people aren't a fan of it, but it doesn't really affect me.
I feel like the one ship rule is mainly to avoid situations like the one that took place in the finals with PieRats, where they're just like hogging the side of their end of the rink with 3 spiders, right? They're just like spreading out and not letting anything come through. Like if you have 3 spiders, or like even leviathans, right? 3 leviathans, like you're gonna eat up that area. Nobody can get through, essentially.
Yeah, but that sounds like something a league coordinator should worry about.
Okay. Well, moving on then. No, but seriously, I think Zamboni Zombies has good players like Scuzzy, AT, Moustrix.
Of course, yeah.
They do have decent players. I think they can take the fight to PieRats, right? A lot of people are saying the PieRats is, facing PieRats is unfair because of Linux and a bunch of other people. But honestly, I've spoken to Scuzzy myself in voice comms, and he's told me he's not scared of Linux. Linux is not scary to him. So he's confident 100% that either him or a teammate will be able to score on Linux. And that actually happened last game. So they're pretty confident, that group. They're not scared at all about PieRats.
By the way, if you have any information about the whereabouts of Old Shion, if you could just dial the number on the milk cartons in the MSHL/RSHL cafeteria.
Yes, please. We are worried. We're concerned. He was having a fantastic season as goalie and captain. I think Yard Sale would have gone even farther in the playoffs with him in command. I'm not saying that you didn't do good. I'm just saying you being out of net and being a warbird, which I think you were doing very solid. You had a very solid performance. It would have contributed to Yard Sale's success. But instead, you were relegated to be a goalie, and let everybody else do their own thing. So, kind of sucks.
Yep, I accomplished nothing and got banned for it.
Oh, come on. You made it to the finals, at least, right? I mean, I know you can't play MSHL anymore, but at least you got that far, right? So, anyway. What do you expect the match will look like? Similar to the first finals game, or maybe something different? What are you expecting?
Zamboni Zombies needs to find a way to be more aggressive in the offensive third. Like, they need to just start bullying some of these spiders around.
How, though?
By checking.
But, I don't know, man. They kind of have the advantage. Okay, 1, they're from Europe. 2, they're better checkers overall. And I don't think Zamboni Zombies has enough, good checkers. Maybe Scuzzy? Scuzzy's a good checker. Who else?
Cyrus.
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about Cyrus for a moment there. My bad, Cyrus. Holy crap. What? Look, Antsy, I care about the league.
Pooter is also a really good checker. Like, even though he was in a weasel, he was nearly 1-to-1 on checked versus checks.
Okay. So, yeah. I think, honestly, they should keep Cyrus in. That's what I think. They should keep Cyrus in for the second game. Because I believe they subbed him out in the first finals game. For someone.
He played 2 periods, yeah.
Yeah, I think they should just keep him in, man. Like, honestly, all 3 periods. He's very valuable, in my opinion, in his Jav. So, all right. Moving on to MSHL Season 10 now. Have you watched any of the preseason games?
I've caught a couple of them, yes.
So, I know that most of them have had, subs, NTSs, for the most part. I think the one between RIP, TW, and Sentinels actually had very few NTSs, actually. That one, I think, is more of what MSHL Season 10 is going to look like. And I don't know if you watched it or not. I was there because it was my team, obviously, but I don't know if you have watched it.
I watched a little bit of it. There were 3 non-team subs for, I think it was Rip Trois at various points.
Yeah, they kind of jumped out after, some of their players started showing up. But, yeah, they did have some subs. That's for sure. Screw it. Hey, guys, we have a third guest coming in. A surprise guest. A new challenger has arrived. And just try to guess by the way that he talks, like who he is, all right?
Hello. Sorry. Hello. This is Wolf speaking.
Oh, I was gonna have the listeners guess who you were by the way that you talk.
It would have been the Queen of England or Violence.
Or Big Eater.
Have we heard how he sounds, by the way? I don't think anybody
I thought
has.
I did once, but it might have just been Thanos on the television in the background.
What the fuck?
So I couldn't distinguish between them.
Well, welcome to the podcast, Werewolf. Anything specific you want to say?
Looking forward to it all day. I was sitting here and anticipating the random appearance of the microphone.
Hell yes. Welcome. I know that you traveled to the podcast offices, to the HQ, in your limousine, and it's still outside. It's parked.
Nobody told me what the limousine was for, but when a limo shows up in front of your house, just shut up and get in.
You just get in.
It's gonna be a wild ride. Doesn't matter where you end up.
You go without asking. You just step inside. You're like, all right, whatever, let's go.
Exactly. It's like, oh, you got pretzels inside. Okay.
So my question to you, Werewolf, is what do you think about MSHL this season?
MSHL this season. So we've all accepted that it'll probably be something that's impossible to balance because we don't have enough player base and range of skills to be able to properly set a cutoff point from A to B for players to participate in something that's reasonably balanced for them. But I myself was always under the impression that let's just kind of leave it to the absolute newest, lower percentage of the zone to clash their heads together and see what the result is. And is seemingly going that way for now, which to me is interesting because it's like, okay, what's going to actually happen from this? I've never been around long enough to see the original MSHL or the original seasons of MSHL, but from my understanding is that the people that played the older MSHLs were still fairly experienced Hockey Zone players. Whereas in this case, you have a large number of players who are very inexperienced in Hockey Zone that are going to be thrown together into a league, put into a match, and we're just going to find out what's going to happen. And to me, it's interesting to watch because I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know who's the players that are going to step up and who are the players that are going to just completely crumble. And it's all new and interesting for me.
Nice. Well, I like your answer, Werewolf. Antsy, you got anything to say about that?
Well, to piggyback off what he said, early MSHL basically was what he described. There were experienced people in that league, and it was also kind of a refuge for European players to be able to play organized hockey. Admirals, of course, being the obvious example of that.
Right. And I remember that I started off in MSHL back then. So like you had experienced teams, but you also had captains who were like, "Hey, you're new to the zone because you've been playing pub a while, right? Like I see you playing pub every night. We don't know who you are. Why don't you join over to my team and see how you do? Like we'll sub you in the second period or something." So it was experienced teams, but captains also gave time to newbies who they found like just running around in the pub, whatever. And that's how I got started. Little trivia. Do you know who my captain was for my first season in Hockey Zone? Yes. Boogeyman.
I don't know why I said that, but
it's true.
I just heard the little twinkle in your voice that, was hinting that it was a Boogeyman thing.
Was this back during the Lago days?
Yes, it was.
Ah.
It was. When he was Lago the Clown, he started an MSHL team called Sting. And I believe that was my first season.
Yeah, so the way that you were explaining the MSHL was kind of like when I started playing and they had the inception of the beer league, where it's like it's captained and run and contains a lot of experienced players, but the people on those teams in at least the first 1 or 2 seasons of beer league were happy to step aside and let people like myself play and people that have only been around for maybe 1 or 2 seasons get more ice time. But then beer league started turning into this garbage grease fest where every team and every captain, or not every, but you'd had some teams and some captains where it's like, okay, we're given a set list of parameters and rules and guidelines that we have to follow. How can we bullshit the league as much as we possibly can within those guidelines? And that's basically like what the last few seasons of beer league turned into, was just like, how can we grease up the system as much as we possibly can to get an advantage on paper before we actually get on the ice? And then you end up with teams like the PieRats and all that just have their effective RSHL team plus players that are even better than their RSHL players participating in what was, quote unquote, the lower league in beer league. So the way, going back to the MSHL question, the way it's now, MSHL's now aiming, further down the scope, it's like, okay, we're really cutting off even the mid-tier players as much as we can. That is, to me, a better outcome, because it's not giving a slightly ajar door opened for people to say, I am going to completely grease up this league, like almost every B league since it started, other than maybe the first 1 or 2.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think everybody could see that season 9 of MSHL still had lots of issues, right? And I take responsibility for that, honestly. But I feel like season 10 is really going to be a whole different dynamic for everybody involved. Like the skill gap is still going to be there. There's like a couple of players that I've sort of singled out, and I'm like, okay, they're going to shine in this season because they have no opposition, but their skill level is still low in comparison to like season 9 players who were like those vets who were actually like in RSHL. So even if the skill gap is still there between like absolute beginners and like some of the low vet players, it's not that huge. It's not that huge where they're gonna get slaughtered. So I feel like this season is a really good. It has a better direction to what I wanted in season 9, which was give the newbies a space to actually grow and be competitive and actually get some ice time. Whereas, before in beer league, like you said, the captains were they were like, okay, yeah, we'll play you for a couple minutes, but honestly, like we're going to put our solid lineup to win this one important game. I don't like that. So season 10 is hopefully going to fix that issue, and season 11 is going to be even more newbie friendly. Like we're in a trajectory now, Werewolf, where we started off kind of like, imbalanced. Now we're a little balanced, slightly more balanced. And now in season, and then after that in season 11, we're going to have even more newbies, right? And more balance. So I feel like by season 12, you're going to be hearing of like unknown player number one MVP, unknown player number 2 won, most outstanding player, best defender, things like that. That's where we want to go to, right? That's where we want to get to.
It's a go back to MSHL 9, like, in hindsight, you can look back and it's like, okay, maybe there were mistakes made, maybe there were big holes in the rules that allowed people to do something, but you weren't wrong for, giving the trust to the player base to say, okay, guys, this has been renamed. The league has been completely renamed and rebranded back to MSHL. We all understand what the entire point of the MSHL is. You have the opportunity now to recruit and train and teach all these new guys that have come in from other zones and to give them the majority of the ice time. And in an ideal situation, people talk about, even back in B League, it's like the spirit of the league. It's like people just need to have that spirit of what MSHL is, especially if they're going to captain a team. Because you had some teams in MSHL Season 9 that, probably ended up on the bottom few standing places on the ladder that were always playing new players every game for 36 minutes every game. And then you had the teams that was coming first, second, third, who this is effectively an RSHL team with like 1 or 2 guys getting, random ice time spots. So I wouldn't blame you. Obviously, you're saying I was a league coordinator, it's my fault. I wouldn't blame you. I would blame the captains and the player base that were purposely trying to skew their teams and the balance in their favor instead of just allowing MSHL to be what it was supposed to be. And this is a vehicle for new players to come and play and to get time. So look, the lessons were learned, and what I've found is that if you give anybody a slight open door to get into a vault to steal some money, some players are going to take that chance and some players are not. And that's just going to cause an imbalance. Either let everybody bullshit the league and settings, or restrict it to a point where nobody can. And MSHL Season 10 now is like, okay, this is restricted. We're not going to get, the best goalies in the game being goalkeeper in MSHL, or we're not going to get Warbirds that are going to score 5 goals a game. So it's hopefully going to be like a really good season, and it's hopefully going to encourage all these new players that have come to the zone in the past few months to get a lot of match time and to say, hey, this is really good. I'm playing a lot of game. I'm improving a lot. Let's take Minister, for example, from our team. Like, our team didn't do very well at all, but we played this guy 100% of every minute of every game in MSHL Season 9. Could we have better players to perhaps win more games? Yeah, we could have, but we were trying to follow the spirit of the league. And you got Minister now, who was a brand new player 1 season ago, who is now like a very, competent, not, as experienced, but, he's a guy that can just slot in or sub into a position and do it to like a 7 out of 10 outcome over just only playing for a few months, because he got 100% of the available game time in MSHL. Whereas you had other people that had just been showing up to games and watching and maybe playing 12 minutes a game. They've effectively gotten a third of the available playtime that was available to them just because their captains wanted to grease up the league and come first in the MSHL, which wasn't the whole purpose of it.
Antsy, do you see any of the new players for season 10? Like, do you feel like in season 10 these new players are getting the experience, the ice time that requires them to get better, to get good? to improve.
Well, I mean, speaking of people who were scoring 5 goals in a game, Stephanie looked pretty good.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that that her addition into the lineup changed the dynamic, the impact of her team so much. Like, I feel like that wouldn't have happened in Season 9, right? Like, in Season 9, that was not something you would... Like, even if she had played, like, 3 periods in Season 9, which I think most of the time she was playing 3 periods, but, like, that big of an impact that she had in that one game in preseason of Season 10, it's, like, night and day, right? It's like, she's having that impact because she is playing with people... like near or around her level, instead of like fighting against, top tier players. So that's a good example right there. Minister, like Werewolf said, like he was having trouble just like passing the puck in Season 9 or like staying afloat. He was like being checked immediately. So
I can give you one other player who I legit did not know anything about until I saw him, Sean, who is on the Coot Troop. I think you were commentating that game with me.
Yeah,
and
I think we were
watching
talking about
Sean, and
yeah.
like a lot of what they do doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but they were constantly scrambling for loose pucks, made some key checks in the open field, kept plays alive, and every team can use a player like that.
Right. Somebody who actually chases the puck and who's like on top of enemies and checking them and like chasing them. I feel like as a beginner who, like, if you're just trying to control your ship, you're not going to be just chasing around, players all the time. You're kind of having to like stop and like, okay, I have to like move this direction or that direction. But Sean seemed to me like he had better control of his ship than most of the other truly, new players. Like he was able to do maneuvers with the puck where I would not have expected a completely new player to know that. And I think you even asked like what zone was he from, right? Because
yeah, I did.
Yeah, because like the learning curve, between like Hockey Zone and like Trench Wars. I don't know how difficult it is to transition from being a warbird in Trench Wars to being a warbird in Hockey Zone. I don't know how much of a difficult transition that is. So, yeah, no, definitely. Sean is somebody that I think we should keep in our radar. So
yeah, and going back to, like you mentioned, Stephanie, for example, and she's scored like 9 goals in a couple games in the MSHL, just NTSing, and now she joined the team. It's like that would never happen if a team that she was up against had the best of the RSHL players in their positions, like Beer League MSHL was doing last season, where it's like we want to see what would happen when there is a more balanced player base on the ice, or a more balanced teams that are versing each other, to be like, okay, which of these players that would get completely drowned out in RSHL are now going to be in the spotlight, and they're going to just completely burst out and carry the match, or be the difference maker in that match. And that's what this season should be. This season should see players like that may have never had that opportunity to be like, I'm going to actually step up and be the difference maker in this game. Like even going back to Minister, like I could see Minister as like one game just stepping up as like a midfield jav and just completely carrying the team. And players like Sean and all that, you had like AT or IT on Zombies who played last season. It's like he seemed like he was doing very well on Zombies, but at the same time, when you have 5 veterans and then yourself on the team, it's like you're always going to look like you're doing well because you're just kind of riding the coattails of the other 5 experienced RSHL players on the ice around you. So it's like he will now, let's see if, he would have an opportunity to step up and just be a superstar in the MSHL, which, he possibly can, as well as, many other players that we may not have seen. It's like these people all now have a chance to say, I'm against people that are around my skill level, can I be the one that just steps up and becomes better than everybody around me?
It's like Euripides, Infamous, Mr. Grinch, like all these names that are not known, right? Can they step up in this season now and like have leading roles on their teams?
I'll give you another one. Download, who got thrown onto Yard Sale's roster in the middle of the playoffs, is now on Zamboni Zombies for the next MSHL season.
Yeah, and he's playing actually Warbird, I believe. Like he was playing Warbird in the preseason game against Sentinels. So, and he did okay. I mean, I don't know like
a
his
goal
skill
and an
level.
assist.
Yeah, I don't know his skill level yet because it's still too early to tell. But like Werewolf said, we wouldn't have known about this player before, like what he's able to do, because he would just be overshadowed by all the other vets around him, right? So now he has that role where, okay, here it is, here's your spotlight, let's see what you can do, like show us. So I agree with you, Werewolf. It's like this season is really gonna tell us like who is stepping up, who actually has that skill to shine through and be a superstar for their team. So
it also just helps their positive mentality towards Hockey Zone, because look, everybody would love to get on the ice in a league match and score a goal, for the first time when they've played the game. And we're going to just see that many times. Almost everybody that's starting this season at some point is going to end up scoring a goal for whatever team they're playing for in the MSHL, just because the skill level is all, kind of balanced towards those players to be able to do that. We don't have superstar goalies in the net, or people that have been RSHL defenders for 10 years, so like anybody that gets on the ice, Sean or Download, Mr. Grinch, all those players can at any time just go on and score a goal, and they're going to be like, this is great. I couldn't do this last season in MSHL, or if they played Beer League, it's like I wasn't able to do this in Beer League. I was kind of just shoved in the corner and given 6 minutes, and when I got on, I was just told to stay back and defend. So that's what's interesting to me. It's like these new players that were going to go on, and they're just going to go out and do their best, and they should hopefully just have a lot more fun now than they could have at any instance in the past.
Agreed. But yeah, Werewolf, Antsy, thank you for being part of the podcast this episode. Is there anything else you guys want to leave behind for our listeners?
Antsy.
Rude.
I would like to direct people to wherever David Seaman #1 is writing his blog posts, because I think that would be very, very good, entertaining read. I don't know if he's done it yet. He was talking about it. It may fall along the same demise as Boogeyman's Diary. I don't know. But hopefully...
Wait, what's this conspiracy theory that Dave is spouting out? Do you know what that's about? Like, he's talking about something about with the settings. Someone is tampering with the ship settings. Is that what he's saying?
So in FIFA, in the older FIFA games, possibly the current ones, I'm not sure, there are statistics sliders in the options settings. So you can set your team, there's a literal sliding bar from like 0 to 100 that says, what is the performance of your team's shooting ability? 0 to 100. What's the running speed of your players? 0 to 100. These were called sliders. So if you were playing a game against somebody else and it was like a non-official game or just like a private match, you could literally change these sliders to improve the performance of your players with one click of the mouse. What David Seaman is saying is that there is some sort of, unconfirmed sliding of players' ship statistics going on during these games that allow people to perform above and beyond their capabilities. And this is something that's just come up since Hamburger Hill somehow actually won an RSHL match. And now he's suspicious how that actually happened.
So
how
it
the
blew his
captain-
mind that his team was able to defeat Breakaway, and
Yes.
they won an RSHL match so much to the point that now he thinks someone is messing around with Hockey
with
Zone's
the settings.
The settings.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Isn't that some like Alex Jones, like holy shit type of
Well,
conspiracy?
not so much Alex Jones. That's more David Seaman to me. This is why I'm saying I hope that he follows through with writing his blog, or if you can give him the platform of the blog site to post, I think it'd be very
I did.
informative.
I created a section on the blog called Dave's Corner, and I gave him full access. I was like, "Hey, you can write there. Here's your username and your password."
Siemens sudden ejaculates.
Yeah.
God damn.
And when you load the page, there's just like a effect that just splurts on the screen.
Oh my god.
So you load the load.
It's
Yeah, if it's the same download speed as Hockey Zone, it might take a few minutes. But, it works its way there.
all right, folks. Well, thank you for listening to this podcast.
So do you just see it flying through space as a percentage bar goes up?
Yeah.
Ugh. All right. Well, thank you, Antsy. Thank you, Werewolf. This was an interesting conversation.
Whatever gets left in the final cut
I
is
know.
anyway.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you. I will need it. But anyway, thank you for listening, everyone. I'm Navi, your LC, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.